I also support Congressman Paul's bill, the Liberty Amendment. This would require the federal government to divest itself of all lands and other property which are not called for in the Constitution, and in 3 years to abolish the federal personal income tax, the gift tax, and the death tax. This is a permanent, real economic stimulus which would add 20% to the economy every year from now on. Regarding the so-called energy crisis, and I say so-called, we need to, well, first of all, we need to get rid of the Department of Energy. Next, we need to abolish all taxes, all federal laws, all executive and court orders, all regulations, and all subsidies which prevent the development, discovery, production, transmission, and sale of all energy. Finally, if I were elected, I'd like to invite Lindsey Williams to Washington, D.C., and you ask who he is. He was the chaplain of the Alaska pipeline. He witnessed the discovery of a 200-year supply of oil on Gull Island, which the government and the establishment media don't want you to know about. When you get home, Google that. Lindsey Williams, Energy Non-Crisis. Finally, I would bring all of our troops home now. Vote not to finance the troops except to bring them home. From Iraq, Afghanistan, everywhere around the world. We're $10 trillion in debt. We cannot afford a global empire. We need to dismantle the empire, and we need to restore the republic. And now I need to talk about some of the things that the incumbent has done. In just this past Congress, he has voted for spending that would total $1.5 trillion. Unfortunately, all of it has not passed, including $83 billion shipped off in foreign aid, useless, unconstitutional, totally wasteful. My Democrat opponent wants socialized medicine, or single-payer plan, the single-payer being the government and you being the recipients, and federal control of transportation. I oppose the Bush administration and previous administrations' police state measures. Congressman LaTourette supported the FISA Enhancement Act. He supported the Thought Crimes Bill, H.R. 1955. Fortunately, it didn't pass. I would repeal the USA Patriot Act, and I will speak more of this later.
Thank you, Mr. Macko. Now, opening remarks from Judge O'Neill.
Good morning, and thank you all for being here. Thank you, WVIZ, for telecasting this. My name is Judge William O'Neill. I'm running for the Congress in the 14th Congressional District because I think it's time that we bring common sense back to Washington. While in opposition, my opponent has let Washington for 14 years change his common sense. I'll get to more of that later. You know, to know who I am, you got to know something about my history. Tragically, 13 years ago, my wife was killed in a car accident, leaving me with 4 children to raise by myself. As a result of that experience, I've developed some skills that I think will serve me well in Congress. I know how to make 4 school lunches with 5 minutes to spare. I know how to buy a prom dress off the sale rack, and I can make a $100 car look like a boy's dream come true. I know how to coach girls softball and boys baseball simultaneously. And when you add that to the fact that I'm a registered nurse and I work in the pediatric emergency department of Hillcrest Hospital, I think I bring everybody everything they need in the warm and fuzzy department for Congress. However, if you're going to send me to Washington to represent you, you need more than warm and fuzzy. I left the bench 18 months ago because I think America is on the wrong course and they've taken a vacation from common sense. We are currently spending $10 billion a month in Iraq, in a country that is amassing an $80 billion surplus from the oil that they are serving us, or they're selling us. I'm a retired Lieutenant Colonel, United States Army. I was awarded the Bronze Star in Vietnam, and my firstborn son, Sean Patrick, is home, safe and sound from Iraq. So I have the credentials to say it is time to end the war in Iraq tomorrow. As you know, I'm a registered nurse. The healthcare system in America is astonishing in what it can do and astonishing in what it does not do. We have the finest heart institution in the world in the Cleveland Clinic. 2 blocks away, we have an infant mortality rate that is an embarrassment. We have 45 million Americans who do not have meaningful access to health care in America, and that just has to change because it doesn't make any common sense. In the 14th Congressional District, we've got 60 miles of shoreline. We don't have a solitary wind turbine on that shoreline because Congress is not looking to the jobs of the future. They're complaining about the loss of the jobs of the past. We have got to put our thinking cap on, ask why we are the only major metropolitan area in the world that does not have regional transit. There is no rail transit throughout the 14th Congressional District. Congressman LaTourette talks about a high-speed train to Cincinnati and Chicago. I've talked to 1,000 people on that subject. Nobody wants to know how to get to Cincinnati. They want to know how to get to work without leaving your paycheck on the table. And lastly, we have a banking system that was deregulated by a vote by Congressman LaTourette in 1999. It caused the collapse of the free world's banking system. It caused the collapse of Wall Street. And this week, 2,000 people across the street had the privilege of $7 billion of federal money being given to Pittsburgh so they could crush National City Bank. There is no common sense in Washington. My name is Bill O'Neill. I'm going to be your congressman. I'm going to bring common sense to Northeast Ohio.
Thank you, Mr. O'Neill. Now we'll have a rebuttal from each of the candidates using the balance of their time. Mr. LaTourette, you are first. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you so much. And David, I didn't expect to get smacked around by you, but let me just tell you that. I make no apologies for the foreign aid. Our safety in the world depends upon our propping up our allies like Israel, and I will always support foreign aid. And so, if you're not a foreign aid enjoyer, then please don't vote for me. Now, to my friend Judge O'Neill. Sadly, facts are stubborn things. And if you look at our direct mail, if you look at our advertising, it's all been positive, talking about what I've done and what I want to do. Bill, sadly, has chosen another path, and he keeps talking about this bill in 1999. I urge you all to go to factcheck.org, because Bill isn't the only one that came up with this brainy idea of saying that I took $1 million and therefore I deregulated the banks and caused this problem. Sadly, Republicans are running these ads and Democrats are running these ads all over the country. The only problem with the ads is they happen to be false. If you go to factcheck.org or Newsweek magazine, you will find, and I apologize to our radio listeners, but the Graham-Leach-Bliley bill, which is the bill from 1999, doesn't have anything to do with the current crisis. As a matter of fact, economists on both sides of the aisle indicate it probably made it just a little bit better. And in response to these ads, I mentioned the newspaper endorsements. Here's what the Sun newspaper said. O'Neill's recent commercials blasting LaTourette aren't truthful, and his attempts to discredit LaTourette just don't wash. So listen, here's what happened. In the 1990s, a group called Acorn decided that they were going to package and sell securitized mortgages to people that didn't have any business having a mortgage. They sold them in bulk to Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. For 14 years, I voted to try and get a tougher regulator over Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. We were resisted at every turn, first by the Clinton administration and then by the Democrats in the United States Senate. As a result, when Fannie and Freddie collapsed, they took everybody with them. Now, I want to commend Bill because he's the most flexible candidate I've ever run against, because the bailout that he says is crushing National City Bank, I voted no on twice. You wouldn't know it from his commercials. He said he would have supported it. So I guess if he'd been the congressman, he would have aided and abetted the crushing of National City Bank. But he's flexible because on the very same day, September the 30th, 2008, he's in the Lake County News Herald saying he would have voted for the bill, and he's in the Ashtabula Star Beacon saying he would have voted against it.